Hello, Assalamu alaikum. This is a new session. In this session, we will try to set up CRC. If we will talk about CRC, it's nothing but a code ready containers platform. You can say it's a mini or a minimal version of OpenShift that you can host into your system only. Means you can host this setup into your local system, means laptop, desktop, or any other system. You don't need to go onto the clouds, or you don't need to purchase some separate lab. So all the question objectives of exam Ex280 uh, and some other exams, you can do practice on this setup. So this was the question, how we can install this setup into local system. It's very easy. The first line that will tell you what is CRC actually. CRC is in OpenShift stands for Code Ready Containers. It's a tool that lets you run a minimal OpenShift 4.x, means 4.10, 12, 14, 16, even 17 cluster locally for development and testing. Okay. And secondly, what you can say, one node pre-configured OpenShift cluster from Red Hat. You can practice all examples, exercises to practice your exam. Now, which exam will be suitable for this setup? It's a separate discussion. So how we can install this, how we can configure it? Very simple answer. First, what you can do, you can, if you have, sorry, if you have Windows machine or a Linux machine, on both systems, you can do configure it. But in my case, I have already Windows 11 system and I don't want it to configure it on my Windows 11 system. Instead, I will configure it on my Linux virtual machine. Okay. Remember that whenever you have to configure any containerized environment, first you have to enable virtualization into that system on which you wanted to configure. For example, in my this system on which I have already installed Windows 11, in this system, BIOS system, virtualization is already enabled. Okay, so I can run this setup directly onto this system. But if I wanted to configure a virtual machine, okay, so in the virtual machine, I have to configure virtualization as well. And how I can do that? Another requirement, how much resources, it will take too much resources. That's the reason normally people do go on cloud side, but with minimal 8 GB RAM you can continue. In my case, I have 64 GB of RAM in my system, so I'm not supposing everyone have that RAM. So I'm just giving 12 GB of RAM, because when I will install VM, I will configure any VM, and in that VM, I will have to configure any OS based on Linux. So in my case, I am going to configure Red Hat Enterprise Linux or Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux is equivalent to Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and the repository is already available as free source in this Rocky Linux. If you go into old days, you maybe heard about CentOS. So Rocky Linux working same like CentOS. Okay. So what it will do when CRC setup will run, it will install KVM as a hypervisor and will create one virtual machine with name CRC within that VM. Okay, so that's the reason we need to enable para virtualization or nested virtualization. For CPU cores, I am giving 150 GB RAM. Storage is not required. Storage is 30 GB is more than enough in the slash home drive, because when you will download run the setup from any user, from let's say you have run with let's say a pass user, then slash home must have space at least 30 GB. Okay, so this is the requirement. But in VMware, because VMware using the technology thin provision, thin provision, it's mean when it will provision the virtual machine and the separate other softwares, it will occupy only the space that is actually required. But I am giving 150 GB, it does not mean it's going to occupy 150 GB in my system hard drive. So that's the reason I am giving 150 GB. In case in future it will require more space, I can use this space. And at last, you have to enable nested virtualization. Fourth, in a VM case, you have to get network configuration from router directly. Let me show you how you can do that. Okay, so first let's create one virtual machine. And if you wanted to download Rocky Linux, simply you have to go rockylinux.org, and from here you can download a DVD ISO image. Don't need to download minimal. Download once a DVD ISO image, and when you wanted to install it, you can customize that at that time. So I am going to configure one virtual machine. So next, I will install operating system later, Linux, and here I will choose Linux 9, Red Hat 9, and Rocky Linux is not coming in this list. So I'm going to choose Red Hat Intel Linux 9 because Rocky Linux is based on RHEL. Next, here I'm going to give it name CRC, Rocky Linux, and now I'm going to give it 150 GB of space. Don't need to worry, it's not going to occupy 150 GB. And then next, customize hardware. From here, I will increase the RAM from 8 to 12 GB. Processor going to give 4 processor, and physical processor is 1 only in my case. And then in the processor, I will have to enable virtualization, CPU counter performance, and everything that is required. And from the network adapter, that is much important, you will have to bridge it to your physical network instead of doing NAT from the uh, adapter in the VMware. So now it will get internet from directly your router. So these are the basic requirements, and now I will go to CD DVD, and from here I will choose Rocky Linux image, which is I have already downloaded. In my case, 9.4 was downloaded in 2024. You can download latest version now and close it and finish. And from here you can power on this virtual machine. Okay, in my case, there is no error I have got, but in your case, you might got any error. I will show you what type of error you can get and how you will fix that. I got error in a few days ago, but this time I have fixed that issue because when I was, let me show you, When I have enabled these settings, whenever I'm going to start my virtual machine, it is giving me one message and there is no further working going on. So let's once start installation of the operating system, and then I will show you what type of error you can get and how you can fix that. It is again most important that it will download one a live setup from Red Hat portal of CRC as a virtual machine, and that machine will come into your home directory. So home directory must have space of around 30 to 35 GB. So let's once started, it is taking time, some time. I'm going to use English and United States. Next it, then you will have to select installation destination and then select custom. Done. You can choose LVM as well, and I will choose boot at let's say 800 MB. Then slash swap as let's say 20 GB, and then I have to choose slash home here, and I will give it 40 GB, 50 GB. Okay, and remaining space I can give to uh, slash as 30 GB is more than enough for this thing, but I will give 50 GB to slash root partition as well. Okay, and if slash home option is not coming here, then you can manually create like this slash home. Okay, no matter what it is, don't need to change any file system or anything else. And 29 GB is still remaining. I can increase this space or I can increase slash home space. It's again up to you. So I might change this space to let's say 70 GB, update settings, and remaining space I'm going to give. Let's say I will remove this partition once. I will add slash, and now I will just add point and it will automatically add remaining partition size. Done. And error configuration, why? What is the error? Okay, I have to add one partition as EFI. Okay, so let me remove all the partitions once. First, you will have to add boot slash EFI, and I will get 800 MB to this partition, and then I will add slash boot. I will get 800 MB to this partition as well. Then I will give uh, 20 GB to swap partition, and then I will give slash home as 70 G, and remaining space will be given to the root partition. Done. Accept changes. Now the network you can give my RCKY RCKY CRC dot example.com. Let's say I'm just giving it name. From here I will enable the network, and then I will configure my manual network interface. For example, I will give just one temporary network. Let's say I can give class B one dot, let's say 2.100, let's say 16. Everything will be default, and here I will get DNS server. I will disable the IPv6. IPv4 I have already given, and it's okay and okay. Done. Now give the password. I'm just giving Red Hat. Red Hat allow root SSH login with the password. I will create one additional user as a boss. I will make this user as administrator because it needs sudo rights, or later on you can add this thing to the Abbas user or any other. And from here you can start begin installation. Okay, so it will install server with GUI, nothing else you need to configure before that. I downloading, trying to download the packages, actually downloading everything from. Now let's so now let's assume you have enabled para virtualization, the virtualization that I have shown you, like these options, and you got some error like this. This is the error that I have selected now. VMware Workstation does not support virtualized performance counter on this host. Refer to VMware and etc. But you will not receive this message in Microsoft Hyper-V on this Windows 11 system. The reason is that I have already installed Microsoft operating system, and while installation of this operating system, Windows by default turn on device security, some memory integration. Okay, there is a feature memory integration security, and by default Microsoft Windows 11 enabled this. Okay, so what you can do when this option, this error will come, but make sure your system BIOS must enable the virtualization options before. Like in my case, I have already enabled everything. I am creating simple virtual machine, it's working fine. But whenever I am enabling para virtualization, then it is giving me error like this. Okay. So what you can do, go to settings, update and security, Windows security, and then device security, and then code isolation, details turn off memory integration option. A second way is that you can open your group policy in Windows 11, go to computer configuration like this I have shown, and then turn off on virtualization based security. Just open it and disable and apply it. Okay. Once it will update, then open the your Windows PowerShell like this. This PowerShell, not ISI, ISE, like this. And then you will copy, you can write these two commands. First this one, enter, and then this one, and enter, close the PowerShell and reboot your system, or you can run gp update slash force in run. Okay, or simply reboot the system, and next time you will start your virtual machine, you will not get such error by enabling para virtualization. Okay, once this setup will complete, let me come back to you. So now I will OS installed. I will reboot the operating system. There is one message for installation of VMware tools. So I will say it. I will finish. I have finished installation. VMware tool will be automatically downloaded because this user is my uh, admin user already. I have set that sudo permissions. So I will log in with this user. I don't want to take any tour here. So I will press no thanks. And from view, you can set fit guest now. Okay. So in the activities, my I will open the terminal and first I will check if I am able to ping the internet. So ping redhat.com or ping google.com, let's say, or yahoo.com. I will see if I'm able to. Okay, my internet is working on this machine. Now, this is your system is ready, and now you are ready to install CRC setup into the system. Okay.